The No Money But Dreams podcast is for those millennial dreamers
who try to be in the top 1%.
It doesn't matter what we've achieved.
We wake up every morning with the mindset that we're still broke,
We welcome you on our journey in search of that home run.
which can change everything.
Everything?
Everything.
Welcome back to another episode of the No Money But Dreams podcast.
With yours truly, Alexander Debar and Tarek Chabib.
Yes. Today we're going to talk about language and why language is so important. And before you switch off, stay with us. This is an important episode and it applies to you, even though you may not speak another language. Alex, I'm very passionate about this. I got every job that I have so far in my life because of language. When I came out of university, the first job, I worked for a management consulting firm that needed someone that speaks German so that they can send me to Germany every week. So I got that job. Second job, I was working, servicing German clients from London again in the brokerage world. And coming to the Middle East, well, was because of I spoke Arabic. I could monitor the Arabic sales teams. And so language has really helped me in my career.
Today, yeah.
Yes. We want to expand on this and speaking languages. You speak English, French, and Arabic.
But only English fluently.
Yes, but you can easily have a conversation in both of the other languages.
Sure.
Yeah. And we want to talk about the importance of language, but then expand the notion of language into skill and culture and understanding, and why it's so important today for everyone to reflect on how they can expand their skill set in that regard. So I want to first start by looking at languages. When I was in school, I had 7 years of Latin and 4 years of Italian, and I don't speak a word.
Yeah. I feel so many people don't take languages seriously, when in the end, speaking a language puts down so many barriers between you and another human being that there's just never-ending immense value.
If I knew back then, when I was 18...
Me too. Not even 18, even younger when they start you.
Yeah.
Like I've been taking Arabic classes. Yes, I can have a conversation, but I'm not fluent. Arabic classes, French classes since I can remember.
Yeah.
But I never took it seriously.
No.
Always the kid sleeping in the French teacher's class, something like that. My mom's like, why?
Yeah.
Why can't you just study it? It's like, but you just don't take it seriously then. No one explains to you how important that cultural idiosyncrasy of speaking somebody's native tongue is.
And you know, when you have 7 years of Latin, you have all the grammar that you need
All the
to
basics
do
for everything.
Italian.
Yeah.
And then I had Italian, and Italian is a beautiful language
You were
to
like,
speak.
oh my God.
and I didn't take it serious. And now I'm looking back at this and said, man, that would have been
Wasted
beautiful.
opportunity,
Yes,
for sure.
wasted opportunity.
But it's never too late.
Never too late, but now
Q3.
it takes so much effort
Yeah.
to actually get there. When you're in school, like you could easily learn it, right?
Yeah.
So then, so I didn't do it. And then that brings me to the next point of, if now let's apply this to the working world. Okay, I got very lucky. I got my jobs because one of the aspects, actually, why did I get the job here in Dubai was there was someone that was a manager before, and I was to be promoted first-time manager, and I only got the job over her. Skill set or experience, she was much better than me.
Far superior.
But because I spoke the other language, I had something that she couldn't bring to the table.
Yeah.
Right. And that's why I got the job. So it can be a deciding factor in whether you progress or not.
Definitely.
But where I really want to get to with language, first of all, learn as many languages as you can.
Yeah.
Right. But language, I feel, so through that, I was able to understand my relatives a lot better. Yeah, because if I can listen to them in Arabic and speak in their mother tongue, they will express themselves in a completely different manner.
There's a matter of culture there when you understand.
And that's the same thing for you with French and your dad's side of the business. And I remember in grad school when we were studying together, you would always speak French to the French people in the class.
Yeah.
Right? And I always thought, man, that's so cool, man, that he can actually have a conversation in French. And so where I was going was that language is one thing, and you can relate on a cultural level on a completely different way, right?
Different dimension.
And we now are engaged in global kind of activities. And the more you are global, the more you realize it's actually very local. And if you don't speak the customer's language or don't speak your team members' language, there will always be this barrier.
Yeah.
And it takes much more effort to build connection if you don't speak someone's language or understand the cultural nuances of something, right? So you, for example, have huge exposure to Tagalog through your staff. You have over 50 people, Filipinos, front office, back office, that speak or come from a completely different culture. You have now had your business for 6 years. You understand them to a level that many other people would never understand that culture. You can crack jokes. You can, do so many different things.
For sure.
Which now means you can relate to them much better. You know how to manage them better, and you can get more out of them, right? So now language, that's one thing. The culture is the second layer to it, where if you Arabic, French, English, you have 3 different cultures, which are all massive globally, that you understand. That triggers your brain to think in a completely different way, right? And this is subconscious, obviously. But there's a problem. Someone in English would try to solve this problem and use language in a way that is completely different to someone from France or someone from the Middle East, right? So it helps you with your problem solving and helps you how you tackle different things, right? So tell me a little bit about your experience of where you think that your different kind of languages have helped you in your day-to-day or in your school growing up to get to the level where you are now.
I think the main point before we go into that is that when you're building a team, having a multicultural team allows you to problem solve in really interesting ways. Because let's say a sound in English, in French could mean X, in Arabic could mean Y. So that, depending on the X and the Y, that gives you different ways of looking at a problem or different ways of looking at an object or looking at anything that you're trying to solve. So building a team that is multicultural, that has different languages, is something that everyone should be looking to do, depending what they're capable of hiring, where they are geographically in the world and things like that. From my perspective, I think that...
Let me just add, females and males. That's also speaking completely different languages.
Yeah, 100%.
Right? And we have touched upon this before, but having not just language-wise different kind of speakers, but also having females a big part of your team is super important.
Definitely. The perspective is different. Their emotional IQ is higher than men. They don't get as aggressive. There's a lot of pluses. And having having male and female synergy and energy on the team, or inputting into a discussion or problem solving, gives those perspectives, which you also get understanding or learning or speaking a different language. From my perspective, I think the most important thing for me and language is the perspective of my family being French and my family being English I had like 2 hats growing up, understanding them culturally and how important, for example, French people it was to eat and sit at a table, and how amazing food was. And then in England in the early days, you just had fish and chips. So, there was no finesse and nothing like that. So I myself kind of learned different elements of where I came from or where my heritage is through different cultures and speaking different languages.
I never thought about this. In the German culture, it's also so important to sit and have meals together at the table. And then now with my own family, because my wife is half British, it's not as important. And I always wondered, why do the Brits not take this serious? I didn't even think about what you
for the French,
said.
it's extremely important. You have to be at the table. Whereas with England, Brits and English people, you can eat watching the TV or doing anything
This
like
was
that.
also a big no-no in my house.
We're not allowed to do that. My dad won on that. We were never able to watch the TV and eat and things like that. No, it was a dinner table and you were to sit down and you would speak and things like that. So those cultural idiosyncrasies really form you a lot, and that comes based on your culture and based on your language, I think.
So the next thing that I want to talk about here is language is kind of too limiting these days, because language is just another skill, right? I mean, okay, you speak 3 languages, tick box, you can communicate with these customers, but that's it. It's a bit too limiting to look at we talk about how to improve your career, how to create great businesses on this podcast. And here you really need to go into skills. And then it becomes really interesting. Being able to write a code, right, in a specific language, Python, Java, all these different kind of things. If you speak more languages than a different programmer, you can become more useful to the team, right? So go and learn a skill and start coding. You can do the same thing with, like, I can publicly speak, right? I can go on TV and represent the company, whereas someone else may be very shy to do the same thing.
Yeah.
Or early in my career, I exposed myself to compliance, to marketing, to sales, to back office activities. I can speak all their languages now. I know how they think, right? And that's why I truly believe this. I was entrusted with running a region because I now know how each of the departments work and the different elements that make the whole thing a whole thing, right? And maybe, and this is really important for anyone watching, is the more skills or the more languages that you can add by exposing yourself to different departments, the more valuable you become as a team member.
I mean, there is that saying, like, I speak their language. You could be talking not necessarily about a foreign language, but talking about a department or talking about a people or talking about, like, a car, for example. Like, I'm an expert. I speak Mercedes language, for example. It sounds ridiculous, but you could say that.
Yeah.
I think another point which I feel that I want to refine on a regular basis, and you do that from listening to podcasts and also reading, is your vocabulary. How eloquent you can put words together to get a point across in as few words as possible. That's really a skill as well.
Yeah.
And that's utilizing language on a level which,
and that gets very important when you have senior stakeholders that you're speaking to.
they don't want to hear a bunch of gibberish.
They don't want 5-page kind of summaries.
Yeah.
You need to have a few bullet points and get your point across as quickly as possible. Otherwise, they will not read your email. They will not listen to you.
Exactly.
They don't have the time.
And
right?
that's, to learn how to do that, you need to speak their language.
Exactly. You need to understand. You need to be aware. So I spend a lot of my time helping people that are at the mid-manager kind of level to formulate their ideas in a better way so that senior management actually understands them and actually pays attention to them. Because their ideas may be great, but if you can't get them across well, then you have no chance.
I think that's another thing, and that's even comes into branding. Like, what is the way that you communicate your brand?
Yeah.
What language do you use?
Yeah.
Visually and also spoken.
Visual language is also very important, especially now, right? The whole UX kind of trend that has been going on with all the apps that are coming out.
Yeah.
If you're not super clean and super simple and speak the customer's language.
And you need to be intuitive as well. Like, I don't need to, I shouldn't have to think where I'm going to close that window. I'm going to go top right and I'm going to click the X.
Yeah.
Exactly. I want to get rid of that. I'm used to swiping. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So for me, the next thing, and that's very different from your side of the table to my side of the table. If I now say, oh, let Tarek talk and whatever he's saying, it's a nice to have and I'm not really going to do it, right? It's fine because you're in the corporate world. You can hide. You can hide behind your job. You can hide behind a big team. You don't need to have that many skills.
Yeah.
But where there's no hiding is being an entrepreneur. Yeah. When you have your own business and you don't understand accounting, ordering,
everything, procurement, sales,
yes, marketing, all these different
hiring,
things,
admin,
there may not be a business.
Exactly.
So talk a little bit about your experience. I mean, you have never worked for anyone.
No.
And you have now 10 years of good experience of what it means to expose yourself to all sorts of different problems and speaking the language or learning the language that you need to speak to be able to survive and to create a thriving business.
Yeah.
So take it away and give a bit of an insight of what languages you had to learn to get to the point where you are today.
Well, the first language that I learned was accounting. And that was when I was in Africa.
Oh man, I hate it. And that's something that I really had to learn when we started together as well.
It is probably the single most important thing that every entrepreneur doesn't learn and doesn't figure out at an early stage, is simple things like profit and loss, cash flow, depreciation, appreciation. And I've been in massive organizations and been like, where's your profit and loss? Like a startup, where's your profit and loss? Oh, we haven't done it yet. how have you not done your profit and loss yet? We're just in startup phase. Like we're just getting things going. I mean, it's so crazy how many people just put it on the back burner. So when I moved to Africa, I would say my mentor there, who I was working with, was so anal about accounts that I learned everything. And that brought me in really, really good standing. Same with my father. He taught me everything about accounts for me to understand how the business operates from a financial perspective.
And that really saved you now when you had a lot of challenges in your business and you needed to think about cash flow. You needed to think about
100%. Yeah. And I have like a pulse on the business. Like I can tell when things are not moving in the right direction, or when they are, or when there's a surplus of money or there's not a surplus of money, or money's getting tight, and delaying payments, renegotiating with suppliers so that you can get that cash flow in and out and control it. And that's what a CFO does. But unfortunately, as an entrepreneur, you can't just only focus on that, because you need to speak another language. So you have procurement. How do you find suppliers? How do you negotiate with suppliers?
Something that I had no clue about and how important it was payment terms.
Yeah.
With suppliers.
Of course.
I mean, the great, you said when you came back from Africa, you wanted a business that is cash.
Cash, not credit. Be able to build a brand and not sell a commodity.
But why is cash so important?
Cash is so important because you get it today or tomorrow.
And what do you do with the suppliers?
You get to buy on credit 60 days.
60 days.
So
exactly.
Whatever you sold today, you have the money and you don't have to pay it back until 60 days. And that's what makes F&B and retail such an amazing business. But you'd only know that if you understood accounting.
Yeah. And you can use that money to reinvest into further growth for the next 60 days.
But be careful.
Yes.
Because that's cash flow. It's not profit.
Yes.
So all these things are really, really important for you to understand how to start and do a successful
So you
business.
speak accounting clearly.
Speak accounting. I speak procurement.
Yeah.
I speak marketing. I speak advertising.
So wait, you can't just say that. I mean, that is a skill. For the last 5-6 years, you've gone on Instagram probably every single day.
I realized how important social media was going to be. I was inspired by the likes of Gary Vee and others. And I learned the algorithm, and I studied the algorithm, and that was the backbone of creating products. I saw products in other parts of the world. This was before you had like the algorithm which shows you on the homepage, not necessarily like it's just all time based. You know what I mean? You would see what somebody was doing in New York. 3 days it's in Dubai, for example. You saw something cool that was going viral, you could implement it. And pushing that and getting people engaged and communicating with them and creating content. I mean, we're above 100,000 followers as of recently.
And that's with 4 or 5 stores in a small market that is very niche, targeted at the Arabic kind of audience. So, I mean, that is you've got a lot of, there's probably like 10 times more people in the country that would follow you, right? So like you have gone so niche, but you're so relevant that you have got really a high density of kind of followers.
Yeah, definitely.
And so creating that marketing skill, you can speak that language and you can take it anywhere now. And
sure.
you have.
I have sliced.
Exactly.
I did it again. Now we're at 10,000 followers.
Exactly. In less than, in how long?
We started in less than 6 months.
Less than 6 months. And it's one location somewhere in Abu Dhabi.
Yeah.
Right? Which is crazy.
Yeah.
And, being able to repeat that success and now be able to advise other businesses to grow their social media, that's an amazing skill. You have learned how to create products.
For sure.
I mean, you're not a chef.
No, not a chef. YouTube chef.
Yeah, but you created 19 sauces or however many it's by now.
Yeah.
You created a whole dessert menu. You created burgers from scratch. You created so many different things, which
my most recent one was food styling, because the food stylist was like, yeah, I'm going to charge you X amount of money to take these new pictures I had to take. I'm not going to pay that. I went on YouTube. I watched like 30 minutes of food styling. Dude, the pictures are fantastic.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You can learn anything.
Yeah.
And you have to put every single hat on, especially when you're going to be an entrepreneur. You need to learn every single language in order for you to be able to communicate with the person who takes that position later down the line.
Yeah, exactly. So now you can't hide because you don't have the money to just get people in. And even doing that, even if you have raised a pre-seed or whatever, and you're just getting people in to do the job and you don't actually understand their job.
The founders who don't actually understand everything from the bottom up, like my mom used to say, you have to know how to clean the toilet just as much as you have to know how to run the business at the top and do everything. You need to know all of it.
Yeah. And so when you look at language, you don't have anywhere to hide. And someone in the corporate world may be able to hide, but it's not to their advantage. Yeah. So people should go away and think, what other skill can I learn? And I'm not talking about, you're a sales professional and you now want to become a coder. That's a pretty big kind of leap.
Yeah.
But as sales, you should really understand marketing. And you should have suggestions for marketing on how you can help them improve marketing.
And then you should be able
your sales job becomes easier.
Exactly. And you should be able to go to product and explain to them, look, in the market, this is what people want. Can we make the product look a bit more like this, or work a bit more, or this works, or something like that? And it trickles all the way down. Product moves to procurement. Can you procure this so product can make that? It's just all connected.
Yeah.
Again, being curious, learning other people's languages, understanding problems that they're facing in different departments, what your customer is facing. Speak the customer's language. That's something that you can say as well. What is the customer saying? Are you understanding? Are you having a conversation with them? Are you learning? Are you improving incrementally every single time?
Yeah.
I listened to this really interesting book. It was a podcast. And they were talking about product market fit. And they were saying that a burger joint, for example, creates a burger, and a customer comes in, he doesn't like the burger, there's no product market fit. The owner will do, a lot of the owner, founder, or whatever you want to call it, will change everything but the fucking burger. Change the furniture, change the lighting, change the staff, change the music, change every single aspect, when all he had to do was sit and eat that burger and be like, you know what, this could be a little bit better if I did this. Next day, eat the burger, it could be a little bit better if I did this. Next day. If you do that every single day for 10 days, you're probably going to be 20% better.
Yeah.
So I think in the corporate world and also in the entrepreneurial world, people just sometimes don't go down to the basics. They don't try and speak the basic language of where the problem is coming from, first principles, like we were talking about earlier, and just end up doing everything that doesn't really matter in the end to get to somewhere where it's not going to make any impact or any material change.
Yeah. So languages, cultures, skills, very important. It all touches upon the same kind of concepts.
Yeah.
But what is important is for people to go away and think, how can I add a skill? How can I add a language? How can I add something to my skill set so that I can come out on top? And you never know when this pays off. Yeah, when you can get another job, when you can get a promotion, whatever your goal is, but it will pay off one way or another.
Be curious to learn languages.
Yes.
Because it's going to give you more opportunities.
And I truly believe in being more, I'm more of a generalist, right? I don't really have any expertise in one particular kind of field. But being able to draw on different kind of experiences, from burger shops to extreme water sport business to finance to different kind of things that I've exposed myself to, has really helped to solve some of the issues, because I was able to look from a different language.
Culture, language, agreed.
Add things,
All right.
Cool.
Thank you for tuning in, guys. Like and subscribe. See you next time.
See you.